Hello, good evening. This is Preeti, I'm a parenting coach, and we're here today to talk about PPD, postpartum depression. So I'm going to wait for a couple of moments to have people come in, and then we will get started. Okay, so we have a couple joining in. All right, so let's get started. Good evening, everybody. So today we are here to talk about postpartum depression. Now, what is postpartum depression? Right? So before we get there, we want to take a moment to acknowledge that having the arrival of a new baby can be really exciting. It brings so much joy, so much excitement. It feels like the entire world has changed for us. Our entire lives have changed for the rest of our lives. And that can be really, really new, exciting, and promising. And yet, a lot of mothers feel like they're experiencing something that's just totally opposite to this expectation that they're going to be excited on cloud nine, right? This is commonly known as baby blues, which is far more common than we can actually fathom, right? More than 50%, 500 to 750 people, 750 mothers per thousand experience baby blues, and that's absolutely common. So what are baby blues? There is these extreme mood swings, maybe irritability, feeling stressed out, um, having these spells where they feel pretty confused, or they feel like crying for no reason. That happens, and a lot of times this passes off within 2, 3, 4 weeks at the max, right? And a lot of times, these baby blues do not go away by themselves. Most people would call this as hormonal, yes, which is true. Technically, there are, during pregnancy, the levels of progesterone in the body goes up, and after delivery, it again begins to settle down. So there's a whole lot that is changing in the physical body, which can create this difficulty with respect to managing moods. That can also be contributing to baby blues. But if you think about it, if it is just hormonal, the moment the hormones begin to settle down, this should all go away. For more than 50% of mothers, it doesn't all go away by itself. A lot of them continue to experience feelings of irritability, mood swings, not being able to understand why they're not able to connect with the baby, and many other symptoms which can seem like normal parental stress. So it's very, very hard to differentiate between what is normal parental stress and what is postpartum depression, what is PPD, right? What causes this is a myriad of reasons. Giving birth to a child brings so much change, not just to the physical body, but also to the emotional state, the mental state. And what's happening in our lives it just turns upside down right from the moment of birth. And there are so many challenges. There are so many challenges that we're not expecting, that nobody's told us to expect. Pretty much throughout pregnancy, I've worked with so many women from all walks of life, right? For everybody, there is so much of focus on the delivery, right? These couple of months, somehow you push through. The moment the baby's out, everything's going to be fine. The moment the baby's out, everything's going to be fine. Whether it is the heartburns, difficulty to sleep, the back pain, just hold on for a couple of more weeks, couple of more months, and then it's going to be fine. Is that true? Is that true? Certainly not. It's after the baby comes, you realize you struggle to breastfeed, which you thought was supposed to be natural. It's taking so much of your energy. It's painful. Learning how to latch the baby, learning how to change diapers, learning how to hold the baby properly. And those of us who perhaps had episiotomies or C-section, the back pain, it can be terrifying to use the bathroom in the first couple of days. And these are challenges that nobody talks about, nobody prepares us for. And suddenly, now that the baby's here, our sleep goes for a toss. Our focus on our needs, the world's focus on our needs, totally shifts from us to the baby. As long as we were pregnant, everywhere you go, people offer you a seat. People have all their eyes on you, so much of attention, so much of care. Now suddenly everybody's talking about the baby. Nobody's talking about the parent. Nobody's talking about the mother. Everybody's talking about, okay, how's the baby? Did the baby have feeds? Okay, is the baby sleeping well? Is this a night baby or the day baby? Right? There is so much of attention that goes on the child, not just from others, but from the mother as well. That a lot of times we forget that our own needs also need to be met. Not to forget the bleeding, the postpartum bleeding, which for many people can be painful. A lot of times it's not painful, and yet it can last for 4 to 6 weeks, and that is also something most of us are not expecting. So there is this discomfort, there is this constant bodily discomfort, one from the bleeding, again from the, whether it is the C-section stitches or the vaginal birthing में episiotomy ka stitches, it is painful. So there is the physical pain of recovering from the birthing process itself, the fatigue. The reproductive parts are sore, they're in pain. It's really, really hard to even get up and move. And there is a whole lot of bombarding of information from all of us, from all around us. And everybody's giving opposing views. You have to give formula. No, you have to give cow's milk. No, you should give donkey's milk. The voice will be fantastic. And somebody will say, no, you should get camel milk. Right? And there's somebody who's saying, no, the child has to be exclusively breastfed. There is one group of people who are saying, you know what? You should give every day, you should give 1 spoon of honey to the child. And there's another category that will say, oh my God, until 1 year you should not give the baby any honey, you're going to kill the child. So there are such opposing views when it comes to raising a baby. And for many of us, we also have families. 1, we are in nuclear families with very little help. 2, our parents are also seeing the birthing of a child in our houses after a really long gap. So they also remember much less. 3, today there is so much of information out there, again contradicting information out there. It's so hard to make a decision. You feel like you want to just listen to people who've already done it and just get on with it. But that doesn't feel so right. For many people, that doesn't feel right. You want to be able to do the best for your child, and you can't figure out what's the best for your child. Some people say, just listen to your pediatrician, just listen to your doctor. And there's another says, boss, you need to figure out what's important for you. Now, how do you decide all of this? This can contribute to anxiety. It makes a mother want to worry. Not want to worry, a mother worries. A parent worries. It's scary. It's anxiety-provoking. It's confusing. And a lot of times the kind of help that is offered from those around us is not the kind of help that we want or we need. There are families, I have heard, mothers share that after the baby was born, the grandmother was constantly telling the mother, don't hold the baby shouldn't get so used to it. But she wanted to hold the baby and she wouldn't get a chance. And that would make her really, really irritable. And there are financial situations that many families face. There is marital conflict, there is family conflict. And if there has been conflict in the relationship with, let's say, the mother's parents or in-laws, that continues. Or with the spouse, that continues post birthing as well. All of that doesn't vanish. So, in addition to the physical pain and recovery, to the stress of not being able to sleep, the stress of having the back pain, diastasis recti for many women, and the change in hormone levels, with all of this, the already existing family situations are also there. And with all of this, the baby blues don't just go away on their own, because postpartum depression is not only about hormones. It is about all the other factors in the mother's life. The fact that it happens just after delivery, because of the hormones, because of the added stress of parenting and nurturing this tiny baby who's totally dependent on this person, it amplifies the already existing stresses, which can push a mother or a parent into depression. Now, what does depression look like? What are the symptoms that we really need to look for? The symptoms are very, very similar to any other depression, any other person in depression. What does that look like? Extreme mood swings, crying uncontrollably, not knowing why, anxiety, restlessness, fear, unexplained fear, uncontrollable fear, having these weird thoughts of something could happen to me, then what will happen to my child? Something would happen to the child. What if somebody hurts the child? Now, these are called scary thoughts. Now, the scary thoughts version of other depression, as in depression that anybody can have, is that the scary thoughts are usually involved about themselves, is about themselves. As in, something could happen to me. What if the entire world falls apart? What if nobody loves me? What if I'm all alone? Nobody understands me. I wish I could die. Suicidal thoughts. Now, with PPD, these scary thoughts are also associated with the baby, which can be of two kinds. One is the passive kind of scary thoughts, where the person is worried, the parent is worried, or they hear or see, either hear their own voice or somebody else's voice. What if you drop the baby? What if the baby's not going to survive? What if you don't have enough milk and you're going to starve your baby to death? What ifs? If this happens, then what? Kind of statements which they hear in their mind, inside of themselves. Or they get visions or images. Close their eyes and they can see the baby falling, or the baby being stabbed, or the baby being pinched, or somebody, either the father or somebody, is shaking the baby violently. These are the images they get. Another mother had shared that every time she thinks she's walking down the stairs in her duplex home, she's worried that the baby is going to fall down and roll down the stairs and no more. And it just grips her with fear. There is no reason. There is no a starting point. Oh, this happened. This is what I saw. That is why I see. No, there is no such explained cause for such scary thoughts, but it happens. And a lot of times, when the hormones settle, they do go away by themselves. But when it is PPD, it can be prolonged and it can be scary. And the active version is where the parent feels like pinching, hitting, stabbing, strangling, hurting the baby. And it really causes a lot of worry. Now, just because they have these thoughts, just because a mother has these thoughts, does not mean they are a bad mother. If a mother shares with you that I'm really worried I'm going to do something to the baby, I'm really worried that I'm going to hurt the baby, reassure them. The fact that you're worried means you're not going to do it. So which means it's a good sign. It is a good sign. So we can reassure them to say that. Yeah. Now, with respect to PPD itself, another extreme, the starting range is baby blues, then we have PPD, and the other extreme of this is something called as postpartum psychosis, which is very, very rare. It happens in 1 or 2 births per thousand, which is almost 0.1, 0.2%, but it still happens. So what is postpartum psychosis is where this depression is also, in addition to all of these symptoms, they may also have hallucinations, whether it is auditory, whether they hear the hallucinations, or they see that something is happening, somebody is going to take my child away and push them down the lane. So they are able to visually see this, and it can be really scary. I have heard of cases where the mother is just unable to sleep for fear that insects are crawling all over the baby. They can visually see they can have these hallucinations and delusions. It can also be accompanied by rapid mood swings, as in one moment they're really, really, really happy and joyful, and another moment they're crying inconsolably, and within a split second they're really in a rage where they could hurt somebody. So they go through these rapid mood swings. This, many times, unchecked baby blues can move into PPD, and unchecked PPD can move into PPP, postpartum psychosis, right? Although very rare, it can happen. But if it does happen, what do we need to do? In those extreme cases, first thing is to reassure the mother that the fact that you're worried means it's good. Now, there are many times a lot of the fears that mothers have. I'm talking about people who have psychosis, right? A lot of the fears they have can be very, very irrational. Can be very irrational. Like they could believe that the baby is possessed, the baby is born to hurt the family, or if you do a certain thing, and let's say on new moon day something is going to happen to my child, it may not have absolutely any relevance to our real world, but they truly believe that it is true. They don't understand that there is no logic in that fear. They believe that it is true. And when others point it out to them, they're not able to understand why nobody else understands them. Again, this is a fear. It's a debilitating fear. What they need is assistance. What they need is support. What kind of support? To listen. To tell them, I'm here to be there. I'm here to support you. How can I help you? How can I help you feel safe? The next step. With psychosis, usually they do need psychiatric intervention. So do take them to a psychiatrist and or a psychologist, psychotherapist, which can be hugely helpful. One, psychiatrist can give them medication. Two, a therapist can also help them to handle their emotions, to cope with these difficult emotions. So that can be really helpful. Now coming back to PPD itself, right? We were talking about postpartum depression. So coming back to postpartum depression, these scary thoughts can be of many kinds. One is hurting the child physically, emotionally. Because of that fear, many times the mother pushes the child away, tries to withdraw from the child in an attempt to keep the child safe. Another thing that is not discussed at all but does happen is that the tendency to have sexual thoughts about the child, or that somebody themselves or somebody else is being extremely violent with the child. Sorry. So these thoughts by itself are not a sign of psychosis, because they're not acting on it, or they don't have the tendency or need to act on it. We don't know why it happens, but once the hormones do settle down, or once the depression passes, it does get better. At any point in time, if you have any questions about what I'm saying, so feel free to put it down and I will take it in the end. All right. So coming back, what are the reasons? What contributes to, what are the risk factors to a person having BPD? One, prior psychiatric illnesses, prior mental health situations. If a person has had depression in the past, the likelihood of them, developing depression or anxiety or panic attacks during pregnancy or just after is much, much higher. That also reminds me that postpartum depression need not be just postpartum. It can start from 20 weeks of gestation and last much, much longer after birthing as well. Yes. Another reason why this can happen is also that many times as mothers we don't have enough support. Especially in today's world, there is very little option, or not option. The situation is such that there are not many people that a mother can rely on. For a lot of young mothers, their mothers are still working, their parents are still working, their parents have other situations, or we are all so scattered across the globe that it's not possible or practical to have help on hand. And many times the help that is there, or the people who are there, are not proactively there to support the mother the way the mother needs. Right? The mother has to ask for help, and sometimes that can be hard. It's not easy to always keep asking for help, and that can really aggravate the stress levels of a mother, and that can also increase the chances of depression and any kind of family dysfunction. Like we already spoke about marital conflict, if there has been conflict that was pre-existing before birth itself, that will continue to have an impact on the moods and the thoughts and the worries and the fears of the mother. That can also contribute to the situation. Family discord, financial instability, especially when there is no support from the partner, the spouse. That can be very hard for most women. And also when there is a family history of bipolar, or depression can also have a contributing factor to this. And if the child is born with any kind of illnesses, congenital diseases or physical or mental disorders, then that can also add to the situation that those mothers are also at a much higher risk of postpartum depression. Now, what can we do? If you are somebody who's going through such a situation, or you're a doctor, a nurse, a therapist, and you hear other mothers coming to you and sharing to you about any of these symptoms, how can you help them? So I like to use something called a mnemonic device that I have. The statement is, my baby needs the mother. MBNTM. M stands for movement. So the first thing that we want to tell mothers is to please move. There's a tendency for a lot of young mothers, as women, as mothers, there's a tendency to shut ourselves off inside the house. Especially in our country, we have a lot of these rules and traditional practices that are passed on for the first 3 months. Don't step out of the house. You should always cover yourself in so many layers of clothing. Okay, we don't want the mother to get sick. I understand that. But at the same time, it can be a little more reasonable. Right? If the mother is able to tolerate the cold, please treat it that way. Right? There is no need to add so many layers of clothing if the mother doesn't have a need to it. And please step out of the house. Get some fresh air. Be in the sunlight, especially in this weather in Bangalore. At least it's really cold and we hardly have the sun outside. So every day spend some time, at least in your balcony, in your terrace. Step out, get that fresh air, early morning times or evening times when there is much lesser pollution. If there is an option, please go to a nearby park take the baby with you and it's okay. Wrap the baby adequately and the baby will show you if they're uncomfortable. The baby will show you if this is not working for them. They need additional layers, wrap them. They don't need it, they're pushing aside. Please let them be. Let them also feel the air. Children don't feel heat and cold the way adults do. I'm sure you all have the situation in your house where you and your partner are probably huddled up with this, really cozy blanket up to your neck. And here is your child, wearing shorts and sleeveless, throwing away the blanket and peacefully chilled out. Children experience cold and heat much differently than us, right? So let them be the decide, let them decide if that works for them. And at that age, 0 to 3, if you can even hand over the baby to somebody else and go take a walk, have some movement, dance, just gently sway, hold the baby in your arms, or baby wearing, if you can use a sling or a sari or a wrap to carry the baby, so the baby can have, be in touch with you. That body to body connection can do wonders for both the mother and the baby. For both the mother and the baby, especially for mothers who have these mood disorders and who are experiencing signs and symptoms of depression. It's very, very hard sometimes to feel attachment and connection to the child. And if this can be facilitated, it can be really helpful for both the baby and the mother. The child feels calmer because they're in touch with the mother's skin, and the mother is calmer because the child is calmer. And because the child is able to peacefully sleep on the mother while in touch with the mother can also get some rest, can also get some peace. That helps greatly. So movement. First is movement. Second, my baby. So B. What is B? B is breathe. Mindfulness. Just focus on your breathing. Deep breaths. That's a fantastic regulation technique that I teach every one of my clients. Breathing when we are stressed, worried, scared, the first thing that changes is how we breathe. When we are angry, when we are stressed, if you're restless, that happens, shallow breathing or no breathing. So it becomes very constricted breathing. So the first thing we can change is how we breathe. And if we can count, breathe in for 7 counts, breathe out for 11 counts. The out breath needs to be longer than the in breath, which can really reduce the stress levels in the body. My baby, MB, is movement, then breathing. My baby needs, okay, so N is nutrition. N is nutrition. A lot of times when we are so focused on the baby, it's easy to forget to have our meals. And we also have traditions where the mother has to eat only this particular kind of rasam and this particular kind of food. The mother cannot eat, masala dosa and ice cream or chocolate. Please, it is already stressful enough. As long as it is healthy and nutritious, please eat a balanced diet. That can go a long way in helping to manage our moods. Bananas and chocolates especially can improve or increase the dopamine levels in the body, which can help us. They can increase the endorphins in the body. They can increase the endorphins in the body, helping us to relax, helping us to feel better. Self-care, taking the time to feel good about yourself. Get massages. Massages are a fantastic way to release tension from the body. And thankfully in our culture, traditionally itself, mothers are offered these, postnatal massages. Please avail a service. If you can get a massage every other day, nothing like it. At least 2-3 times a day, fantastic. At least once a week, please do it. That action of massaging the body helps to loosen the body, helps to loosen the stiffness from the muscles in the body, which can help to relax. And those are moments that you get to feel the body. In moments where in days where we are so focused on the baby, we're not able to sleep, we're not able to eat, we're not able to, we're sick and tired of hearing so many conflicts around us or advices that don't work for us. It helps to just breathe and be in the moment and connect with ourselves. So, self care, whatever it looks like, taking a couple of minutes, half an hour. Once the partner comes, hand over the baby, take half an hour. It's your right. It's your right. Please have, if you're not able to get that kind of support from your parents or from your partner for whatever reasons, enlist a friend. That's another thing that happens in most women's lives. The moment we deliver a baby, all our friends assume we are too busy. Nobody calls us, nobody checks on us. Until the delivery, we would probably meet somebody for a coffee every now and then, go out for a drink every now and then, probably chit chat with our friends, maybe on the phone. Everything just suddenly stops. Because everybody's assuming, you must be busy with the baby, na? But hey, I'm human too. I still need to talk. I still have that need to share, to laugh, to engage with other humans, with other adults, especially with people with whom I share a similar wavelength. If you know a young mother, if you know somebody in your life, a neighbor maybe, who's recently delivered a baby, reach out to them. Because it's not common that people understand this need. Social isolation is very real and it can be very, very hard. So that is the next T. My baby needs the T stands for touch as well as talk. The need to talk to another adult when you're spending the entire day with a baby who's not verbal or who can babble. We all have a certain level of intelligence that we would like to engage with other people of similar intelligence. We would like to have certain adult conversations, and that is important for our mental wellness. So it's important to seek out support groups, to seek out other mothers, go back and get in touch with your school friends, your college friends, your colleagues, reach out to them to just check on them, to get your mind distracted. Join whether it is Facebook groups or through Instagram or through other support networks that are available today. If you can connect with other mothers who are in similar situations, or you can stay in touch with your already existing friends, it can go a long way. It can go a long way to help you get back your sanity, for you to feel like, yes, I'm able to deal with this, right? The other is touch. Touch releases oxytocins in the body. Physical touch of hugging another person, holding hands, just a partner or somebody rubbing your back, putting a hand on your shoulder can make a huge difference. Hold your partners, be there, extend an arm, sit with them, cuddle up, take the time out, talk to your partner, and ensure you have these movie nights, date nights, cuddle nights, whatever it is, weekly once, weekly twice, as often as possible. If it's possible, 5 minutes every day, just 5 minutes, fantastic. Do that. Touching the baby as well, especially having, for very, very young babies, 1 month, 2 months, 3 months, up to even 6 months, I guess. Maybe more, but I don't know about that. But up to 6 months for sure. I know that they do, it is recommended to do skin to skin with a child. So to take off the clothes and put the baby as well bare on the chest or on the body. That skin to skin contact can make a humongous difference, especially if you have a fussy child. Especially if you have a fussy child, it's very difficult to put the child to sleep. It's very difficult. You're not sure that you're producing enough milk. Both of you are not able to get enough sleep. So all of these situations, it is fantastic to put the baby on yourself. Cover both of yourselves in a bed sheet. Sleep. can do wonders. Or, like I said already, put the baby in a carrier and just walk while you go on a walk, when you're dancing, when you're cooking, when you're going about your chores. That physical contact can make a huge difference. And the last but not the least, the last M, my baby needs the mother. The last M stands for media. Be mindful of what you're watching. Unfortunately, today, media is about TRP. And TRP is about what will hold people's attention. And what holds our attention is anything that remotely resembles threat. Why? Because our brains are wired to be a lot more alert, where you cannot take your eyes off when there is movement and when there is anything that looks like danger or threat. So, negative news does catch our attention, and today our media is filled with it. Social media channels or news media channels or any kind of media, if it is provoking anxiety, if it is making you worried, if it is too gruesome for you, or if too much is happening and you're not able to handle it, if there is too much negative news, please stop it. Filter out the media that you're accessing, that you're exposing yourself to. Just this act of unsubscribing, unfollowing the sources of negative information can really help. Fill your feed with positive stories, with support stories, with art, dance, music, whatever it is that you like, your interests, that can really help to again bring back or lower your anxiety levels. Right? So it comes down to my baby needs the mother. MBNTM. Movement. B is breathe. B is breathe. N is nutrition. T is touch or talk. The last M is media. Filters the media. So when we are able to handle all of this, it should help us to manage and overcome to a large extent. But if in spite of it, you're unable to do it, please find a therapist. Please find a therapist or a psychologist. And I would also go so far as to tell that you continue to find other professionals until you find the help you need. Unfortunately, PPD is not a widely studied subject. I have had clients who are doctors, dentists, nurses, also, who couldn't recognize that what they're going through is depression. And that's fine. Even I could not, being a therapist, I could not at that moment recognize that I had depression. But my doctor was not able to say it, right? Because this is not a studied subject. So find professionals, find therapists who have some experience with PPD or who's willing to explore the subject with you. If a professional is telling you, you just need to grow up, you just need to, take good care of yourself, or you just forget about all of that, focus on your baby, that's not the kind of help that is helpful. Whether it is from your partners, or from your in-laws, or from your parents, or from your doctor, or from your therapist, if the help that you're receiving is not working for you, please be vocal about it. It is okay to be vocal about it. It is okay to say this is not working for me or this is what I need. Yes? That's pretty much what I can think of. So with respect to scary thoughts that I spoke about, scary thoughts, when we are in the middle of the scary thoughts, it can be really hard. It can be really hard. Especially when the scary thoughts are to do with our child. It can be so gripping. It feels impossible to get out of it. if we can take a moment to just breathe and distract ourselves, if we can distract ourselves, find ways to engage with the child at that moment, or hand over the child and go take a walk. Distracting, radical acceptance that yes, I see these thoughts, I'm able to recognize that I'm having these thoughts, can also really help. Then it also helps to keep a track of what kind of scary thoughts you're having and how frequently you're having. And the more you practice distraction and the more you're able to bring back and simply point and name what you're seeing. You're having a certain scary thought, let's say, oh my god, I'm going to change the diaper and the baby's going to fall down. Right? So this is the image you're getting, or this is the thought you're having. Come back and describe what you're seeing. The baby is sleeping on the bed, and I'm going to change the bed. I can see the baby sleeping safely. This is what I'm going to do. Just keep telling yourself, repeating every bit that you're doing, and that helps to ground you, to bring you to the present moment. Right? That can really help. Another, I know it's a cliche suggestion, but it really, really helps, meditation. By meditation, I don't mean you should not have any thoughts, just clear out, have an empty mind. No, that's not the meditation I'm talking. I'm simply talking about being present in a space of observation to what is happening inside your mind or outside your mind without any judgment. Non judgmental presence from a state of observation is all we're talking about. You can do this even when you're, let's say, doing the dishes, having your food. Just focus on what are the colors you're seeing, what is the texture you're feeling. When you put it in the mouth, what are the parts of the mouth it's touching? The changing texture, what are the different tastes that you're able to get? When you bite on the rice versus when you bite on the vegetable, what is the difference that you feel? Just be completely be in the moment to focus on the internal experience. That's all it takes. So, the more you practice this, ideally the scary thoughts can also come down. If it is not, please seek help. Yes? Yes, so that's about it from my side. If there is anything else, any other specific questions, I can take them now. Okay, at the moment I don't see any questions. So what you could do is you could write to me, you can DM me, reach out to me in any way possible, and I'd be happy to help. Yeah. All right. Thank you and adios. Have a good weekend.